when I didn't realize that like influencing was a career, right? I just stupidly didn't realize it. I was having a lot of beauty brands reach out to me and, want me to make like sponsored videos for them or try their products and see if I liked them. A lot of really cool like health and wellness products. It became like just a huge passion of just like finding out what I genuinely loved. And I just already was posting and loved the creativity behind social media. If I post a video, it's because I genuinely love the product or whatever the case it is. So that's the good part about what I have to do it now at this stage.
So what do you like most about it?
What I personally like most about it is it definitely the tension release from my neck and my shoulders. I feel like I'm like have to always like remind myself like put your shoulders down, and in working on my posture consistently, like throughout my entire life, I have been. For my husband, it's better breathing, so he's not snoring.
Welcome to the Healing Lab podcast. Today we have Morgan Stiles. Morgan is an entrepreneur and an influencer. She's been featured on Vogue. Morgan, so glad you're here. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm happy to chat with you. And I love your pillow. Amazing. Your pillow is our new favorite thing in our household.
Amazing. Yeah, we just sent it to you. And
exactly. I've had it for a good like solid 5 weeks or 6 weeks. So I've had it many nights to try it out. So I can actually say we thoroughly love it, my husband and I.
Nice. So is it like what do you like most about it? Is it more like the breathing, like where you get better breathing, or is it like just tension release or support, or just more kind of a supportive pillow that's not that's just different than like a normal pillow that just doesn't have enough support?
Exactly. I think what I personally like most about it is it takes it definitely the tension release from my neck and my shoulders. I feel like I'm like have to always like remind myself like put your shoulders down, and in working on my posture consistently, like throughout my entire life, I have been. So for me, it's that. For my husband, it's better breathing, so he's not snoring.
So you are an entrepreneur, right? Very successful, have a pretty built up pretty large company. I was reading in marketing, and then you now do a lot of influencer stuff in Southern California. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Brian. So I grew up in Ohio, very small town, USA in the 90s. I had that like typical, like iconic 90s childhood where you're just playing outside all summer till the sun goes down. And that's how, we didn't have cell phones, so, that's how you knew when to go home when like the street lights turned on, so, and by street lights, because I lived out in the country, we had like two of them, so one stoplight, two street lights, and we knew it was time to come home. So, I had a great childhood, Midwest childhood in Ohio, and I went to Ohio State for college, and when I graduated, I was 21. And I had an internship for Clear Channel when I was in college. And from my internship, I had gotten a paid gig with Clear Channel as a public relations director in their Chicago location. So when I was 21, after I graduated college, I moved to Chicago. So it was kind of where my first, part of my career took off. And, as I was working for them full time as a PR, right under the PR director. So I think, PR coordinator public relations coordinator was my title at that time. I was also simultaneously kind of building up my own clients and trying to start this marketing firm that I had this idea of. And it was a direct marketing and sales firm. So we did a lot of public relations, a lot of direct sales, B2B, B2C, residential, retail. And I pitched a lot of telecommunications clients. I saw that at the time as being like a good opportunity. So I pitched AT&T. Being in Chicago, downtown Chicago, where I was, there was a lot of headquarters there. So and I had a lot of ins sometimes with like knowing who the gatekeeper, kind of getting through the gatekeepers with my career channel full-time job. So that's how I got these contacts. But nevertheless, I pitched AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, and DirecTV. That was the other one. And those were my first clients when I opened my firm. So I opened it. I was kind of hoarding all these clients and saying I could do big things for them. And then I finally opened my first office when I was 25. And then I built it up, and make a long story short, I built it up to 33 offices nationwide. And I did it for 11 years. And I sold my company to my competitor, actually, which is funny. But I sold my company to my competitor, and he merged the companies. And so I did that. I had it for 11 years. So when I was like 24-ish, I opened it. So let's say, I was like 35, 36 when I sold my company. But so yeah, so that I did that. And then after I sold my company, I was kind of figuring out, I was kind of figuring out what my next steps were going to be. I took some time off, I traveled and did all the fun stuff. And then I was in Northern California at that moment in time when I sold my company. And I moved down to Southern California, in Newport Beach, California. After I sold my company, that's like one of the first things I did. I just had some friends down there, and I visited a lot there, and just loved the beach town. And so, yeah, I moved there, trying to like figure out what my next step was going to be. I've had my mortgage license over the years, and was kind of able to write some loans. So I did that, and I ultimately realized I didn't want to work in the banking mortgage world full time. But I do still hold my license for something to have. It's always a good, something to back up on. I dabbled to see if I wanted to get into that. I think it was more so like, oh, do I want to get in? But it was a no for me ultimately. But I still keep my license. And then I ultimately just kind of really fell into like this influencing world, and brands started, I guess through some of my friends and people I know. But you know, I started having brands reach out to me, and I would get different contracts from them. And ultimately I realized, I was like, oh, well, this is like an actual real career. I mean, it's something that will keep me busy. It wasn't like I didn't really quote unquote have to work, but it was something I wanted to do to keep myself busy. And I was getting contracts left and right, and kind of building up my influencing portfolio without even knowing I was doing it. So yeah, so now I am still doing that. I'm still doing that, and I'm also opening a Legree Studios with my sister Brittany, and that's what I do now.
Amazing. Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
in Pilates. You have Pilates studios is
Yep.
now.
Yep. Yeah, they're Pilates. Yeah, it's a form of Pilates called Legree,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, if you don't know what it is, it's Pilates. Yeah,
Nice, nice.
reformers.
So tell us more about the like wellness and beauty type like aspects that you work with, whether with clients or just on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was getting a lot of, when I wasn't even trying to, or realize, when I didn't realize that like influencing was a career, right? I just stupidly didn't realize it. Totally is. I just stupidly didn't realize it. I was having a lot of beauty brands reach out to me, and, want me to make like sponsored videos for them, or try their products and see if I liked them, or la di da, whatever. And also like treatments too. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, I did it just out of the sheer curiosity of like loving different, beauty stuff and trying different health and wellness stuff and just always wanting to like feel my best internally. A lot of really cool like health and wellness products. And so that's kind of how it like fell in my lap. And then it became like just a huge passion of just like finding out what I genuinely love. I definitely have always been a person where like I never even had to work, quote unquote. I could have been fine. I just really genuinely wanted to keep busy and do something fun that I loved. And I just already was posting and loved the creativity behind social media. I was already loving, trying different health and beauty products, skincare, stuff internally we're putting in our bodies to make us look better, feel better, all the stuff. So I was already just genuinely doing that. And then it kind of fell in my lap and became a career. So the great part about, I think, my page is anything I post, I genuinely love. I don't have to, pay. I don't have to post a sponsored video. So if I post a video, it's because I genuinely love the product or whatever the case it is. So that's the good part about what I have to do it now at this stage in the game.
Amazing. So this is all about healing, the podcast about healing and about just wellness, longevity. Do you have any like specific tips on like just because you're kind of like in the forefront of all this beauty stuff and everything else?
Yeah.
Like I wanted to get your perspective on that, and I wanted to ask you about the flawless face pillow, which also was it came out of Southern California in La Jolla, I think. Have
Okay.
you heard of that? Have you heard about the flawless face pillow before?
Um, is it the does it look like a claw on the side?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have. Yep.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about the flawless face pillow because they've been blowing up, and the we discovered, through the fall actually there, and then there's an Omnia pillow in Europe that's they've sold like I don't know how many, but like in the probably in the millions now. But
Yeah.
basically, it's like the studies show that 80% of your wrinkles come from sleep when you
I've
smash in
heard
your
that,
face for
Brian.
8 hours, and you do that for a decade, 2 decades, it adds up, right? So now they have these like skin wrinkle prevention pillows, and then I was just thinking, okay, well, like the Da Vinci pillow actually it kind of does the same thing in a different way, and so,
Definitely.
yeah, I wanted to, because they market it for wrinkle prevention and
Yeah.
puffiness, like try to reduce the puffiness.
Yeah.
And, then the Da Vinci pillow, just in my mind, is like, we already have it for like TMJ, hair transplant, and facelift surgeries for post op because it kind of elevates you. You can adjust the incline, and then it holds your head to where you don't have a tendency to move and mess up all of the stuff. Like, if you're on drugs, you're on painkillers, you could like, just stretch out the stitches or something like that, or pull out the hair follicles that they put in, unintentionally. So yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Thoughts on that? Yes. Well, to answer your first part of the question, I knew exactly what I was going to say when you asked it. So my biggest beauty tip or anything that I could tell you, and it kind of leans into what your next question was, is lymphatic drainage. I am like a big believer in lymphatic drainage. I will go to my girl, every other week, or I was going every week if I can. It just completely flushes your immune system. I genuinely feel the reason I've like never gotten sick is because I've done lymphatic drainage like consistently for 10 years. And I think it's a huge preventative of wrinkles in your face too. So when I'm saying lymphatic drainage, I mean like full body lymphatic drainage. So it flattens your
What is
tummy.
that
It
a
reduces.
is that a massage, or what is that? I don't like.
It's a massage, but you can do it. You can watch a YouTube video and do it yourself. Like, you don't have to pay somebody to do it and go get it done. So if you're like, if you're a college girl or something and you're low on budget, like I've been in my life, yeah, no, you can 100% do it yourself. And there's techniques. The main points is learning where your big lymphatics are for drainage. So right now, just for off the top of my head, they're right here behind your ears. They're right here, right under like the first part of your armpits. They're right here where your basically your bladder is, like aka you're peeing, right? Like where your, where your uterus is. And they're right behind your lower one is right behind your knees. So if you're just massaging everything into, you could do it with, I have a gua sha that I use in the shower every morning, and I'm just massaging everything to my ear. Then I'm taking it down my neck, and then I'm taking it to my armpit. You can use a brush too, works, or you could use your hands or the gua sha I mentioned. And you're also just, and you could do it with your hands. You don't even have to buy anything. Literally, and then you're just taking it to your armpit. You're doing your arms, and you're doing your stomach really good. I do my stomach really good. And then up my legs, and then also in the back of your legs to help prevent cellulite. But it will literally change your immune system. If you're someone that's prone to allergies, if you're someone that's prone to just getting colds and sick in winter or whatever, and or like if a lot of individuals work in like with like little kids or something, right? If you're a teacher and daycare or something where you're always around kids and like little different sicknesses that they have, that is a good tool to like not get sick. I swear by it. But also, that's like the great part about it. But like also, it will literally smooth out your skin. It will reduce cellulite. It will reduce inflammation. If you just do it once a day on yourself, you're good. If you can afford to get it done professionally every other week or once a month, that's awesome too. Because they really, the girls that do Brazilian lymphatic drainage, it's called, or lymphatic drainage, they really get in there, and you can do it a lot harder. They do it a lot harder sometimes than you can do with yourself, because typically when you're doing it on yourself, maybe you can only do it with one arm, or two in some areas. But anyway, so I'm a huge proponent on that. But with that said, it goes back into your pillow and your question that you had on the pillow. So I've used that beauty pillow. I know what you're talking about. It looks kind of like a claw on one side, and it's basically a hole that you're putting your face into, so you're not smashing the side of your face and creating wrinkles, as you mentioned. And yeah, Nurse Jamie came out with one, and all these other Beverly Hills companies. But I've used it. I agree with. I think that your pillow even makes it like hold your because it's holding your neck. Your pillow, you're in there, and so 100% someone could use your pillow for that without a doubt. Maybe even better.
Yeah, yeah. So, wow, that's super, super interesting. Yeah, I guess it does make sense with like the lymphatic drainage, because a lot of that just fluid just is like stagnant there, and if you're not like recycling it, putting new blood and new like fluid in there, it'll just kind of sit there and then cause all these kind of problems, like yeah, like saggy skin or the cellulite, like you mentioned, and just the immune system benefits.
Immune
That's
system, inflammation, because when we have inflammation in our bodies, it screws up everything. It screws up a lot of different stuff, not just
yeah.
not just like us looking like puffy and being annoyed that we look puffy, or inflamed, or bloated. That word bloated, that's just inflammation. So yeah, it screws up a lot of stuff just internally. But there's so many lymph nodes that we have in our bodies that we need to move it ourselves. That is
Yeah,
my
no,
number
speaking
one
of
beauty secret.
inflammation, that's funny, because that's the actual reason why the Da Vinci pillow saved me from spine surgery, because it transferred the tension from my neck to my chest and my head, so it free floated my cervical spine, and it allowed the like inflammation to really go down, to like traction to kind of heal the disc for them to rehydrate. but it was all about inflammation. It was literally, that's what that's what I discovered. I was like, because I'd get all these other treatments, I get all this other stuff, just basic stuff, complicated stuff, like from like just a simple like neck adjustment. But what does that do to your neck? It actually inflames it because it's traumatic event. Like it works for some people, but it didn't work for me. And I went to a lot of different doctors too, and like it just never worked. But the idea behind it was like, if it does work, you're gonna have to do it for 6 months because of the inflammation goes up and then it recedes and then goes up and then recedes. That's why you have to. That's why it takes like 6 months if it's ever gonna work. But it was always just, or the cervical pillows that are out there. They try to like force curvature your neck to your proper curve, but that also didn't help me at all. It also maintained inflammation on the discs, and that's where it was just like the complete opposite. Like the pillow, basically, the Da Vinci pillow is the complete opposite of the common conventional method of like forced curvature cervical pillow that kind of pushes up your neck and then your head drops. But your head weighs like 8 to 10 pounds, so you need to like pick it up and lift all that weight off your head. And then if you lift your chest
Exactly.
up at the same time, now you got that, your neck is just has
Breathing.
zero tension, right?
Yeah. And then you're lifting your chest up, you can breathe better. And when we're breathing better, we're getting more oxygen to our brain. We're smarter, right? So it's a win-win 100%, because with your pillow, you're elevating, and, as you sleep for, let's say, 7, 8 hours, your lymphatics are kind of being able to move itself. When you're on more of a flatter pillow, or just a little, tiny incline, your lymphatics are just sitting there. So you're waking up feeling like really puffy in the morning.
Yeah, no, it's really incredible the difference if you're tuned to it and you lay on that versus like a regular pillow, the ease of the breathing just is, yeah, quite profound, really.
100%. 100%. No, your pillow 100% helps with the lymphatic drainage. 1,000.
So have you tried to lie on it on the side? Because like most people actually sleep on their side. And the interesting thing, speaking of
Oh,
the
wow.
skin wrinkle stuff, is that, one, it's just becoming massively popular now. But the side sleeping, interestingly, just coincidentally, like on the Da Vinci pillow, is like it positions you to where the weight kind of goes more on your temple. And so and then the cooling memory foam up there kind of basically prevents the, like a regular pillow, which would like smash your face and skin in. Have you tried like on the side
I
at all?
haven't. No, I haven't. Now I'm going to tonight. Okay.
It's
So you're
super
saying where
comfortable.
like the little, okay, so you're saying like kind of where the little two cutouts are. I'm sleeping on the side here. So my head's kind of like hanging off
On
basically, right?
one, yeah. So that's the interesting thing about the pillow, is that it's a weird looking design, but it's all kind of there for a reason, and that's because
Sure.
when you're laying on your back, you can basically adjust the height of the head depending on your like body height, body type, and stuff. It's just customizable, so you can basically put your head on one of the head panels and raise it up if you wanted to like relieve all the pressure. You could put it in the middle. You could kind of stick it down in between the head panels to like, if that's what felt good, like, because it just changes throughout the night or whatever you feel like. But then when you're on your side, the two head panels are high enough to where when you're on your side, your spine is straight, which is super important. That's why like a lot of people sleep on their side with a regular pillow. Their head is like this, and then they wake up with neck pain, right?
Yep,
So
exactly.
so
Plenty of
that's
times.
like
Yeah, I have.
yeah, just you know, random thing, but yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to. We already have like phenomenal feedback with the post op stuff for surgeries, but I
I
think it's
bet.
like a legitimate skin wrinkle type of product that people could benefit from, right?
100%, 100%. And you
Yeah,
did mention like the surgery, like for ladies that get or men that get a facelift, later in life. That's like that, or any facial surgery. There's lots of facial surgeries. You need to let all that fluid, because just
Dra-
cause so much
yeah,
trauma. You
Yeah.
just caused so much trauma to your face from whatever surgery or whatever you got. So you need to let all that fluid just, get going, get out of you, and that, and then also you don't, like you mentioned too, you don't want to just like, you're on pain pills, you're zonking out, and you're probably like, super heavy on your head, on your side, if you're a side sleeper. And so, yeah, you don't want to mess with those stitches. You don't want to flatten your face, because that's a big thing, with after surgery, because it can kind of conform to that way, you don't want that. So, you just want to let gravity and air, and air do its thing. And so, yeah, that your pillow holds it in place. So that's really good. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, it's
No,
recommended
no, it's
too.
a
Like I'm
huge
not a,
anti-aging pillow for sure. Huge anti-aging pillow.
yeah, I mean, it's like when you go through some procedure like that, I mean, especially like a facelift or something, I mean, you're supposed to sleep in an upright kind of or face up position for like 6 weeks,
Exactly.
they say, or something.
Exactly.
So,
And it's hard if a lot of people aren't, I mean, I'm sure you've done the studies on it. I haven't, but I just know, most people aren't just back sleepers. They're side sleepers or stomach sleepers. They're all over crazy sleepers. We already have a sleep problem as a nation as it is. We have, people don't get enough deep REM sleep, and it shows in our day-to-day stresses. It shows on people's faces, the stress, the heart attack levels, that are
mhm.
that are out there. So yeah, sleep is such a huge anti-aging component in general, and so important for your brain and just your day-to-day functions.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, people, it's like, such a huge thing, but a lot of people I think discount it. But I mean, if you do the sleep studies, these people have that snore, have sleep apnea, like they could have hundreds of mini strokes throughout the night, and that actually could lead to a real stroke. But if it doesn't, if you're a guy, your testosterone plummets, your oxygen levels plummet, like everything. You wake up tired, you have zero energy. It's just it hurts your brain because you're not getting enough oxygen in there. It's just not good. But I don't know. It's still kind of hard to get the word out. Like, hey, like, you know, you could be potentially having hundreds of mini strokes a night if you have like untreated, you know, snoring sleep apnea for decades. That's going to add up over time.
exactly. Exactly. No, I've never snored, thankfully. That's never been something I've dealt with, but knowing people that have, and I think it's a more male dominated thing, but like so I'm told, I don't know. But it's a huge issue for people. Like, they're not getting enough oxygen to their brain. Definitely. It is.
Mhm.
It can cause a lot of internal stuff for sure.
Nice. So, what projects are you working on now? Mainly the Pilates, or do you do any like yoga stuff with that, or is it mainly just like Pilates?
Um, No, I do have my, I'm like a jack of all trades. I do have my yoga license. I
Oh,
got
nice.
it when I got it 1 year. So I do have like my teacher yoga license. I always like wanted to like study in Bali and, did it. But, so no, I just have a love for yoga. I just love it, but we're not incorporating yoga, in the, with the studio. We're just doing strictly Legree Pilates. It's a reformers Pilates. It's really good for male and female. It's really good for males who golf or play tennis, because you're just like literally like strengthening all those little micro muscles that you need to really perfect that sport, in your legs and in your arms, and core. And then for ladies, it's really good for that to really tone, like Victoria's Secret, long muscle, lengthy, muscle look. Whether you're short, you can look, more, you can look taller from it. So I love that about it. So no, we're just doing strictly Legree, and we're opening them. My sister and I are opening them across Northern. Right now, we're opening them across Northeast Ohio. So we're opening several, and we're going to kind of our goal is to kind of take over Ohio with this market. I know California very well. I'm sure you know Miami very well. They're all over Miami. My sister lives in New York, by the way. So, my sister in New York, they're all over, they're all over, where I'm from in Southern California and all over California. I lived in Northern California too. So, yeah, we would come home and we were like, Dad, it's not here. It's driving us nuts. So we are going to make it ourselves. So it is it's coming to Ohio, studio near you.
So I'm super familiar with yoga. I love yoga, but I'm not
Love
familiar with Pilates. And just for me and like the listeners, like, what's the difference between regular Pilates and the new like Lagarde? You said is pronounced
Agreed.
Agreed. Like
Yeah.
Agreed. And is that like a new trend that's kind of you're saying like it's kind of taking off right now, or?
Yeah, surprisingly, Greece been around for 19 years, but I think it just kind of picked up, within, I really found out about it when I moved to Southern California. So let's say, 6 years or so I've known about it, but, it's been around for a while, but it's really became really popular, over the last several years, just because it tones, it's high intensity with low impact. So it really, really tones, all those microfiber muscles, but also, the big muscles too, of course, but like it's toning the muscles around it and giving those, larger muscles support. So in turn, you're looking a lot leaner, in a shorter amount of time with this workout, 100%.
So do you use the same, like I've seen the machines like in Miami, like I was just like there's like these places, you walk down and like there's so many of these Pilates places and you like they have the
Sure.
machines there, right? And you see them like from the street, like walking. Like is
Yeah.
it the same machine or is it like a different type of thing?
Yeah. It'll look like that, but it is its own machine. It's a
Okay.
Legree machine. Yeah. It's specifically, made for Legree and a specific Legree machine. So it will be different than all those other reformer Pilates classes or other, reformers that you're talking about. But a similar, look, it's lifted off the ground. You're standing on the machine and yeah. But Legree tends to be a little bit more, challenging, because you can go up a lot in weight. That's why men like it. you can you can lift very heavy on it if you want to. Um, and the goal is to have a very educated instructor so she can kind of cue, what spring changes to use, for women on, level 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up.
So what would you say like percentage of the regular traditional Pilates and the Legree Pilates is right now, and like where do you expect it to go in the future?
Yeah. Well, there is I think 190 um Legree studios, because you have to pay the Legree license, and then you have to buy their machines. So it's not like a franchise or anything. It's just their machines, their patent machine. So you have to pay them a licensing fee to use it. It's just so I. With that said, there's 190 some Legree licensed studios nationwide in U.S. And they're opening tons in internationally too. So total, I don't even know. I think there's like 400 some total, throughout the world. But within the U.S., I believe there's about 200.
So is it just as popular in Europe that it is here, or where are they at,
Yeah,
or
it's super
where?
popular in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, super popular in Europe. Yeah, yeah,
You ever
yep.
thought about
France,
expanding over there?
Amsterdam. What?
Have you ever thought about expanding over there?
Ooh, maybe. You know, we have a goal of kind of where we want to be here first before we do that, and then we're going to take it from there. But yeah, but that would be really fun. I love Europe.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. So where can we find you if the listeners want to learn more about your? You have a lot of recommendations on like beauty products, like we were talking about,
Yeah,
wellness products, home products.
yeah.
Um, where can they find you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll put your links in the description too. But
Thank you. Yeah, please. Yeah, it's fun too. My husband and I just bought a lake house, so I'm sitting in right now. We're renovating it. So it's kind of a fun thing to watch people renovate a house. I always like that too. So I'm also, filming all my renovation stuff right now too, on top of health and beauty and all that. But it's also like home renovations and lots of travel right now. My husband and I are doing so lots of travel, home renovations, and health and beauty. So if you want to follow that, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram, and it's my name, just my full name. It's Morgan Morgan underscore Stiles Stiles. Same
nice,
name on both. Yep.
awesome. Well, thanks, Morgan. I really appreciate it. It was a great conversation and a lot of interesting new knowledge that I have now about all this health and wellness stuff. So thank you.
Thanks, Brian. I had fun. Thank you for thinking of me to do this. I appreciate it.
Amazing.